What up, guys? Dr. Vic here, and excited to have you guys here as we're going to dive deep into a topic that's been coming up in discussions and coming up in many different things that I've been seeing about what's going on in the world, the recession. People are talking about potential depression coming up and all this dark stuff that may be happening the next year or so. And whether it's that, whether it's COVID, whether it's your own business, whether it's your own life, relationships, you're going through a dark moment, whatever that may be, there's a principle, and I've talked about this many times on the podcast. I've done episodes on my own with this, where we want to always be mindful of where we're focusing our energy towards or what we're allowing in. I always talk about the gatekeeper of the mind, and when you always want to make sure that you have a gatekeeper there and only allow what you choose to allow in and not allow just anything. Don't allow anything just to pull your attention to something. Now, before I go further, let me give you an example of that. Like, let's imagine you have fears of something about money or whatever it may be, or scarcity mindset, and then all of a sudden you see a YouTube video and it's saying, "Oh, the next depression we're having is going to be greater than the great one," right? Or man, the stock market's going to be ready for this moment. It's going to crash on this day. Or you get what I'm saying? Like something, or the housing market's collapsing. Get ready. Look what's already happening. It's coming. I mean, I've been seeing all these things. And the thing I'm trying to say is if you have that scarcity mindset, it will attract you. Your focus is going to get pulled there, and you're going to want to look and see what's going on. You're going to want to read it and buy into it all more. And whether you're not believing it or not, it's just you're giving your energy towards, which means you are in some way, shape, or form. So here's a principle that I always share, because you want to, in your life, you want to get good at this, to only put your energy into what you would love to see happen. Now, this is a different way of thinking. I've been doing this for quite some time. And when I understood the law of focus, I thought it was just me and my focus. Then I realized it's everything I do. And I only give my energy to things that truly I like to see expand and grow. I'll read about it. I'll get to know more about it. I allow it in my consciousness. But other than that, if it's negative stuff, it's not that I don't want to read it or want to ignore it. I don't want it to be part of my consciousness, whether I'm aware of it or I'm absorbing it in. Okay. And then the way this works is sometimes you have limited beliefs that you may be unaware of subconsciously, and that article can program things. And so then you unconsciously don't realize that it's affecting you in some way, shape, or form. Now, why is this so critical when it comes to life? Well, let's use the Great Depression as an example. And I've said this so many times, is that during the Great Depression, there was as much depression that went on. There was a lot of millionaires that were born. And you have to understand that I talk about this in my book with the matrix and so forth, and conditioning of the mind, and how the matrix and the influence of the matrix and the powers of the matrix, who have big influence, can influence that in some way, shape, or form, so humanity can have an experience, right? And so when you understand these principles, and if I'm going deep with this, and you're kind of going, man, he's going really deep today. Understand, go check out my book, Decoding the Matrix. You'll grasp that, and then you can come back to this, and you'll be like, oh, I get what he's saying now. Because it's one of the things where you have the conditioning to lead to that, to think all doom and gloom is going to happen, right? Here's an example. I love when people are like, the housing market's coming, it's crashing. If you did this, blah, 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 all these other things. And I look at that and I go, okay, I'm going to put my energy into this, not into the crashing part, but I'm going to put my energy into is if people can afford their mortgage, they're not affected by this at all. Really, they're not. It's only for new home buyers or people who are looking to buy a home. And I'm sorry, not even buying, because it's going to turn into a buyer's market eventually. In some areas, it already is, but a seller's market, to where you're selling and you can't get the top price anymore. But if you can afford the mortgage and you can stay there for a couple of years, just write it out and it'll be turning around. I mean, things always appreciate up, but the problem is they put so much fear into things, and they want to program your mind in a certain way. For me, I'll let you know where my mindset is. I flipped a home in 2021, first home I ever flipped, and it worked out really, really well. It was a fun project. It was between me and my dad doing it, and it was just my wife did all the designing, and it was me and my dad doing the work. And we had a friend of his come for a little bit, and it was a great experience to just, it was in Tennessee. I was in Chicago, so once a month we drive down and we get to work. And it was a great time to just bond with my dad and connect with him from time to time, and just, hear stories that he would talk about. And it'll be something I'll never forget. And, it was our first flip and whatnot. And, it all went well. But now I've been out of the market for it. Do I want to do another flip? Absolutely, I want to do another flip. I'm just sitting and waiting now. I'm waiting for if the market's going to dip. I'll wait till it dips and there's oversupply. Then I'll start to get into the market again. But that's just my mindset. So everyone's saying, oh my goodness, doom and gloom. I'm sitting there going, let it go. I'm ready to go. And my perspective is that, and it's the same thing with stocks, or the same thing in cryptocurrency and all these other things where, they're all in bear markets. And it's one of those things where people are saying, oh, it's doom and gloom. That's it. I need to sell. Just stay with it. It's perfectly fine. If you don't need the money, just stay with it. Don't sell. It's shifting perspective, not buying into the fear. But look at when it came to again, the Great Depression, it was so doom and gloom. But look at COVID, right? All these businesses are closing and they're failing and they can't get this, they can't get that. Then how the billionaires grow their profits, grow their net worth by 56% on average, all billionaires. Something to think about there. And so again, this all comes back to, in my book, I talk about the consciousness and the matrix and setting your intention. And this, what I'm bringing up to, is just what you're putting energy and focus to. Pay attention to the things that matter. Right. So if you're worried about money and you're freaking out about money and not having enough to supply, your focus is all about not having it. And what are you going to experience? More of not having it. And what's the mind going to have to pay attention to and show your consciousness? More scarcity in some way, shape, or form to continue that loophole and that pattern to be on a hedonic wheel until you start to realize that this is all but your focus. And if you shift your focus on the things, shift it to what it helps you expand, what helps you raise your vibe, what gets you excited. These are simple principles in the quantum world. I'm not trying to sell you something here on this or try to put it in terminology in some ways. This is how it works. And so you look at your focus and what you intend to do that you'll love to see more of. If you see someone doing some great things, or you see a kid being happy about something or whatever it may be, pay attention to that stuff more and look into it more. Pay attention to more positive quotes. Pay attention to things that are promising, that are uplifting, that are hopeful. I am not one that's all about the positive movement of, thought, positive psychology or positive thoughts where it's like you ignore the weeds, just focus on the positive. You want to be aware of the weeds, but how can you turn that into a positive? You see, you're a spiritual alchemist at the end of the day. Stop allowing these things that hold you back or limit you or make you say this is how it should be and how you should feel, or try to trick you to focus in a certain way. If you become aware of this, you can see a big game out of this. And that was one of the big purposes of my book, because once you start to understand how powerful you are and where you put your focus, what you give life to, this is a game changer for your life. And this is in every facet. When I work with clients, my goal is sometimes for some of my clients, it's like I really got to get them to focus on the prosperity and the abundance kind of thing and understanding that principle. But a lot of times what happens to people is our limited beliefs hold us back. And what happens is we will get triggered in some way, shape, or form. You have a little bit of success and you start worrying, how am I going to keep this? Or how am I going to keep it moving forward? And not realizing that, if you're really in a state of success, a successful mindset, that things are not always going to be on the up and up. We've been conditioned to think that everything has to go up, 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 up. And that's what we want it to be. But you have to have downs. You have to have resets. You have to have calms. You have to have everything. Nature does this. Everything does this. Your heart does this. I used to tell people when it came to the grind and hustle of life, and they sit there and go, well, yeah, you got to grind, you got to hustle, you got to do this. I'm like, no, you don't. And they're like, yeah, you do. That's the way to do it. That's the way to success, man. Everything else is you just got to work, work, work. Nothing else matters except work. And I said, really? I said, well, what if your body doesn't do that? Oh, no, your heart does. Your heart works all the time. I was like, no, it doesn't. And like, yes, it does. It works 24 hours a day. I said, no, it doesn't. If you actually take the work time of your heart, it's 9 hours a day. Your heart only works 9 hours a day. It rests for the next 15 hours. It rests more than it works. Hope I'm making my point here. So the key concept is when it comes to focus, look at things that excite you, that raise your vibe. You're going to have to get in tuned a little bit with your body. What gets you excited? What gets you hopeful for things? What gets you your energy to rise? That is the key game changer to life. Because everything in life is a frequency vibration. It's all a consciousness level. And the vibration and frequency that you're vibing at is what you're going to attract into your life. So if you focus on things that are going to raise your vibe, and you just continually focus on the things that are going to raise your vibe, what do you think is going to happen with your vision, your goals, and so forth? Are you not going to achieve them, or will you achieve them? You're going to achieve them. They're going to happen in some way, shape, or form. And it's not about a time frame or something that's specific, because at the end of the day, what really matters about all this is that when you're in the quantum world, there's no time. And so things will happen at the speed, at the rate of what you're vibing at. Once you're there, bam, it's happening. It's not like you have to get there and you have to wait a week or 5 months or 10 years. No, once you're vibing, and that's it. The universe loves speed. It happens instantaneously. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today, to really start to pay attention to what you're giving your energy to and what you focus to. Years and years and years ago, yeah, I never really liked the news. I only liked watching the weather and sports, but I never really got into watching the news. And I don't watch the news at all. And this, especially for the last 15 years, I haven't watched the news. But it's one of those things where I started to understand this principle about where do you give your energy to. And in the last like 8 years, I've really like cut out all things that are negative. I don't want to pay attention to anything. Even my Facebook and my Instagram stuff, there's so many people with stuff and this and that. And what I would do is I just did not want to pay attention to what they put. And I would just want only people that I have. And that's the beautiful thing about Facebook with their algorithms and Instagram with their algorithms is they'll tell you what you're focusing on. It's the same principles. The algorithms work the same way. What do you click on? What do you like? How long you pay attention to a video? They have all this built in. And so that's why your feed only shows specific things. That's why you have sales to you, right? Things that they're trying to sell you based on what you're focusing on, or you're giving attention to. It's all the same principle, guys. So that's what I got for you guys today. If you're listening to this video, I do have a workshop coming up that I would love to have you be a part of. There is limited space. We're almost maxed out already. That I'm going to be speaking on about business and success, quantum physics, and so much more. I'm going to teach how to create this effortlessly. And so if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, or you're looking to start up, if you're looking to start up your own business and you want to, this is for you. So please check it out in the show notes. The workshop's going to be on October 13th. So if you're just driving and listening to this, come back and do this later and check it out. I promise you, it's going to be it's a game changer. I'm really excited for this one, and I know it's really going to help uplift a lot of people and get them out of the grind and hustle mindset, get out of that sacrifice and all this other stuff that comes with these things, and really just understand the principles of quantum and how to navigate yourself through that world. So check it out in the show notes. Appreciate you guys. And until next time, keep rocking and rolling.